Hello friends, welcome to the basic sketching course. In this course we are going to learn how to design basic volumes in isometric perspective, how to cut basic volumes and do the shadows on them. We are going to review textures and materials. And after texture and materials we will trees and plants and how to design them in architecture. Do interior and exterior one-point perspective, which means we are going to be able to design interior and exterior one-point perspective, bird view and special angles, to resolve curves in isometric perspective. But this will extend from the basic course to the advanced one also. In the next part we have two-point perspective, and in two-point perspectives we will review all of the viewpoints that we can have, like ant view, bird view, the viewer view, and then we will do some 3 points perspective, viewer's view and bird view. And we will learn how to set and design figures in all different perspectives, which means we will check the placement and the height of figures in 1-point perspective, 2-point perspective and 3-point perspective separately. We will learn the placement of trees and plants, which means in any perspective view like bird view or viewer point, how we can measure them and have the correct measurement for them. We will learn how to find the correct dimension for our interior perspective, and we will learn what are the measurements of human in interiors, how we should do the sizing of furnitures, and in the end all of the techniques that we need in perspectives, all of the techniques that we need in lining. We will review it in this course together, and I will share these teachings with you guys. In this part we are going to introduce special tools that we use for sketching in architecture, and then we will debate what tools and what markers are better, and with what tools we can sketch and how to pick items correctly. First thing that I need to know is what technique that I'm going to use in architectural sketching, because I can use pen or pencil or roll pen for sketching, and each one of these items can be useful in their own time in your sketchings. First thing is how to choose the correct roll pen in this major, which means I have to be able to use the correct marker in the market for this major, and to know what marker I should use in what area. Look closely. I've got different brands here, and we'll do a brief explanation for them, and to check which one got what specialty and where we should use them. First one is Unipin brand, which is one of the most famous rollball pen that is being used in Iran. These rollball pens got vadded tips if you pay attention to the tips. A little vad is at the top, and the term of fine liner is being used for them. Rollball pens with a vad at the top are considered to be a fine liner, and all of the rollball pens that I have here are fine liner and have vad at the top. So how we can distinguish which brand is better for us while they all have a waddy top? First thing that should be important for us is that is it giving us a smooth line or a slow line? For example, Rotring rollball pen, which is a German rollball pen, is very smooth, and when you're lining, ink will leave the pen very easily. But these Chinese rollball pens, like Owner, for example, inside the line it will give us a vacant line, which means the ink is moving slowly inside it. Look closely. When I'm using Rotring, the ink will move super easily, and here the ink is moving much slower. And it depends on your sketching strategy that which one can be better for you guys. A brand like Copic will give you a wonderful line. You can control and use your lines very easy, which can help you guys in hatching. But the next parameter that is very effectual for us, apart from lining, which as you can see, I'm doing similar lines with all of them. Some of them are paler, some of them are darker, like rotring, some of them got higher density of black, and some of them got a little blondness in their black. First parameter should be quality, and as you can see, rotring got a very high quality. Copic also high quality. And Copic is one of the brands that I highly suggest. And after that, Unipin also gives you a very good line. Owner also next to it. But let's see the differences. In price tag, for example, if I put the first one and the last one next to each other, you can buy Owner for 1/8 of the price of Rotring, or 1/20th of the price of Copic we can buy Owner. So if I use 20 of these, I can use only one of those. So instead of using 4 Unipin, I can use 1 Owner, or Panther, or other Chinese brands that they don't have really good quality for them, and they're not known. But we don't care about the brand in what we do. Practically, the end result that it gives us is very important for us. So generally, when I'm using this rollable pen in drawing anything, the end result that I got from this, I can say that for sure, that it's not 1/20 of the price of Owner or 1/8 of the price of the other one. The end result is not 1/20. It gives you 80% of the quality of the other line. So when choosing, don't be concerned about the brand too much. It doesn't matter at all what brand you use. The only important thing is that you need to be able to use the door behind it. A brand like Artline, this model, because you can find 3 models from the same art liner. This model, the door will be separated when you're working with it, and it's very bad. Be sure to use a brand that the door is sticking behind it. So the best options that I can see here are Unipin and this Chinese brand that you can find them very cheap in the market. In lining, look closely. Why are we holding the pen from the top side? Because it's very important for us to have more control when we are lining, and there are 2 parameters that helps us. One is the angle of my hand, and the angle should change like this when I'm moving. Second parameter is the pressure of pen. When lining, if there's too much pressure on my pen, it will create a thick line for us, and if I'm just touching and do it lightly, the line will be much thinner. So I can get 0.5 or 0.05 millimeter from a 3 millimeter rollball pen. So the pressure on pen is more important than the pen itself, which means before you be concerned about pen, you need to be concerned about the pressure on the pen. A practice that you can do is 1 time with a low pressure and 1 time with a high pressure, and repeat the same process over and over again. Then your hand will get used to it, and whenever you want to draw thick lines, you can do it, and whenever you want to draw thin lines, you can do it. And on the second part, if I want to give you a practice that is useful for you in rollball pen, is to change the angle of the line. Draw the line on the very top and change the angle bit by bit when you're coming down. So I set this next to which one that we should use, because when we are going for shopping, you need to see your hand is comfortable in which angle. As I said, the quality of line in Artline is very good, but unfortunately the top of it is not going to stay on the behind, and it will reduce the control on the pen for us. But Artline got also 2 cheaper brands that we can choose from. 2 options that are lightweighted like Owner that we can use from those brands. Like Essedler's 3+ will also do the same thing, which is very, very cheap, but the quality of line is acceptable. So the next rollball pens, without having a vaddy top, there is a ball at the top. Like Uniball brand. Uniball brand is a brand that uses a metallic tip, and it gives you a very good line if you've got a good control on pen pressure and the angle. You can even control the thickness of the line in these rollball pens. Which means even with these rollball pens, I can do this movement. Like this. So as you can see, I can do this even in very heavy hatching. I can use it in the best way that I can. So don't be oblivious about these rollball pens, because they can help you a lot in the sketching. One of the options that I use a lot are M rollball pens and CD markers and calligraph tools. Look, I'm using Sharpie, and it's also M size for drawing black solid lines, for very thick lines and very dark lines that we want to use in our project. You can use CD markers that are much cheaper, but will do the same thing for you guys. Or you can use all different Chinese brands that will do the same thing for you guys. These are CD markers, and they are permanent markers, which means you can draw them on CD. And they are waterproof, and they must be waterproof. And calligraphy pens. So we can do very black lines or just do our sketches directly with them. So these are the tools that we can use for the black parts. Other very useful tools that I'm using a lot are automatic pencils or even pencils, which means you can have all type of pencils in B series, which are much softer and being used for shadows and do pencil sketching. I usually use two different types, like 0.5 and 0.9 or 0.7 and 0.9 automatic pencil. I prefer this number 1, which means this 9mm that I have, and 7mm are my favorite automatic pencils. Next to it, I'm using B4 pencil for shadowing. Look closely, you can do shadows very easily with that. And for other times, I'm using shader. To shade them, I'm using shader. It's just some paper that is rolled, and you can find them in all of the markets. And you can do shading very easily with that. So when I'm working with two simple movements, I'm making these into trees. So a shader and a pencil is a very good technique in sketching. So what is also that being used a lot in our tools are white pencils and white roll pen. White roll ball pen is being used for drawing lines in black areas. And when I'm saying black, for showing it, I will use a marker here and do stain so you can see what is happening. If you are using a straw sheet, these white roll ball pens can help you a lot. And also pencil, white pencil, in this area will help you a lot. And I recommend them a lot for graph papers. And in general, use these two and purchase them. And another important thing is that we need to have a normal eraser or pen eraser. And in the end, let's see which marker is good for our project and which one can be used more for our work. But how we do that? The markers that you can find in market, you can have them in Touch brand. You can have Koilo, which is a Chinese brand. You can have Q color, which is very popular among us. You can have two-sided or one-sided. I have one-sided here. You can have two-sided also, with two tips, and there is a variety of them. This is our touch marker. This is our Koilo. And we have Pro marker, like Turset and Windsor, which you can find them limited in market. And older brands like Prismacolor. I might purchase this one 15 years ago. In market you can't see them anymore. And one of the best brands that you can find in market is Copic brand, which is very popular, but the quality is the best quality you can use in markers. And there are some very old markers you can find, which is called Design, that we were using. In this part we have markers that use alcohol in them, but Design markers use thinner in them. So let's see what are the benefits and downsides to them. First, we use Q color, one of the brands that worked charmingly in past years. And we are using this marker for more than 20 years. And it has a relatively good quality. But it got made in Japan on it, but surely it's made in China. And in the end, we are very pleased with its functioning. And in the last 20 years, I used this a lot. This marker has two-sided. One side is thicker and one side is thinner. All of the markers are like this kinda. Touch marker and Copic got one thick side and one thickest brush. And with the brush side you can use for special techniques, and Copic also the same. So you can choose between them. And by paying a little more, you can use markers with a brush head. Those who are working in interior design, it's better to use markers with brush head. So let's move to Koilo. The Koilo got a good body design. It has a very good grasp to it when you want to use it, but there is one downside to it, that it uses ink very fast. Maybe the amount of ink inside it is very low. In general, there is a trick that we can do. If your marker's ink is empty and one day later the ink is empty because they are using alcohol, when the alcohol is evaporated, the marker is destroyed. But later on you can insert 2 cc of alcohol or acetone inside it. Pay attention for inserting in some markers, like Touch, which has 2 model in it. You can buy the charger for its ink, but other markers you can't charge them. Maybe you can use Touch ink inside them or dilute the ink inside them with a little acetone, and it will be as good as new. Maybe the color is a little bit brighter. This Prismacolor marker, let me explain about it. This marker is for around 20 years ago, an American brand with an extraordinary quality. Pro marker, also very good quality, but the price is very expensive. And purchasing them is not financially friendly, and the best brands that I can find in the market can be Q Color, which got a very good quality to it, but you won't be able to find the ink inside market. So let's check Touch marker now. For recharging markers like Touch, you can use special charging ink that are like this. They got different color coding, and I'll use them for my most used markers, like C Series. C Series marker are the most used marker that I'm using in sketching. I recommend you guys to buy and purchase from C1 to C9 and have them. Let's see how we can recharge them. You only need to pick up the ink. Let me find the right one here. It's C2. So I'm picking up CG2, pick up the marker and take off the head. It can come off this easily. When you took the head off, open your ink and do it drop by drop. This is one way. Like here, I'm doing it drop by drop. And again, put the head back on. So this is very cost efficient and cost effective for us. The price of each ink is usually 1.5 times of a marker. So these inks, as I can remember, you can recharge them 7 times. But with personal experience, it can recharge up to 3 or 4 times, which still is very cost effective. So this is one way of recharging our marker, and the second way is to pick up our marker and do this directly on its wad. So I'll drop it on the wad and it'll take it inside. And when you recharge a marker, do not use it for at least 2 hours. So the ink will sit inside it properly. Then use it. So this is another way to refuel our marker, and generally, as you can see, you can refuel markers and use them. And let me give you a reminder to be sure to use acetone. And as long as ink's pigment is inside our marker, and as long as the pigment is inside our marker and the alcohol is evaporated, you can use acetone in order to refuel your marker. And when the ink is completely empty, you can buy refuel and refuel it. So my design markers are like this. When we draw a line with design marker, it will pass the color 1 millimeter up and down. It's not like alcoholic markers, and it's fluent and it moves. And the color variety was very good, and you could purchase them very cheap, but unfortunately you can't find them in the market anymore. So the brand that I recommend is Q Color, and I prefer one-headed Q Color and touch markers. But let me give you a warning. There are some Chinese markers which are fake, like New Touch or Neat Touch, all different kind of touch. For example, price is 1/3 of the original, and they give you a very good result. To be honest, if you want to grade the color inside it, it's around 80% of the original one. And if you're a beginner, it can be very useful for you guys. If you're new to this and you're just practicing, I would recommend you guys to buy these because they are way more cost efficient and you can do much more work. And when the price of your tools like pen, marker, or other stuff is cheaper, you can do much more stuff and represent a lot of work with them. And in the end, the quality of your work will be much higher. And when you are an expert, you can buy a series of Touch or Copic. In the end, for starting, cheaper brands are more efficient. And I always joke about this, that you can do $1 million design with a pen that is being sold in a subway. Which means we can do a design that's worth millions and they pay me a lot of money for it, when the start of it will be a pen worth of $1. So instead of trying to get high-end tools, try to sharpen your skills and your information and learn techniques and use them for your representation.